Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 11th of July, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. How are you all doing in the chat? Sorry, it's a bit late getting started there. Things to do. I had to clean my glasses. I need to have like a professional glass cleaner person whose job it is to clean my glasses before I start the show. But until I reach those pinnacles of efficiency, might be a few minutes late. Anyway, so sorry. I just really put the time at 9:05 when I set everything up at 10 minutes to 9 this morning. Okay, so veg pie, blah blah CW, Diz, Anne Phillips, Scott, Leapshin, Leonora, Martin, Graham, Doffer before in the chat. We've got Pygmalion in the chat. We've got Alice Sturm. We've got Diz. We've got Saz. We've got Rosie in the chat as well. Billy Kershaw. We've got Acro Dave. Sorry if I've repeated some names there. We got Lemon Twist as well. If you would like to join our beautiful people in the beautiful chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 60 seconds, and then you can actually join the chat and actually join in what people are saying. So today we're going to be talking about the politics of panic, the politics of patience, and the politics of panic. Like this week's Franco-British Summit was supposed to showcase grown-up politics. We had Starmer and Macron sitting side by side at Northwood HQ. Macron addressed Parliament. He met the King to Windsor, all that kind of shit. You know, the headlines are all about this small boats deal, but there's things going on in the background as well. But the reality is, while these two leaders are, competent to an extent, more competent than the opposition, they're both floundering in the polls right now. And National Front, or whatever they call themselves these days, National Rally in France, are doing well in the polls, as is Refuck over here, similar party, funded by Russians, populated by bigots, fascists, transphobes, racists, homophobe, misogynistic gobshites. And the populists are on the march. They really are. And this is an opportunity for sort of grown-up politics. But I kind of feel like by going for this one in, one out concept, in a way, it's like a step in the right direction, that they're actually addressing the reason people are paying the people smugglers instead of trying to smash the gangs, which is never going to work. It's like saying, I'm going to stop all the drug dealers. Oh, are you? Are you going to legalize drugs? No, I'm just going to stop them all. Fuck off. You're never going to stop them all. Grow the fuck up. Like, this is the real world in which we live. You're not going to stop all the drug dealers unless you legalize drugs. And even then, you're not going to stop all the drug dealers. There are people who deal in tobacco. I'm sure there's people who deal with fucking moonshine at the moment in this country just because alcohol's so bloody expensive. £6.90 for a pint of lager. A pint of lager, £6.90. And that's because of Brexit. Femi did a really good video calling out Sam Coates of Sky for talking about the economy and how the cost of living just started to skyrocket after 2021, and without mentioning Brexit at all, which is the year that we officially left the single market and the customs union. We were still a member of those esteemed organisations, pacts, up until the end of 2020. And as soon as we left, everything went up in price. The price of a pint of beer fucking tripled. And then you've got Nigel Farage, the guy who made us do this, standing there with a pint, because he can, he's a multi-millionaire, of course he can, going, whoa, 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 and people are fucking voting for him. Wake up, okay? We need to tell people that this is, like, insane. It is insane that we're just taking this and going, yeah, cost of living's gone through the roof. A pint of lager is now £6.90 in, like, just a standard pub. Like, a standard pub. Not like a fancy pub. A standard pub, £6. I mean, Jesus wept. This is like, it's like Australia prices. Jesus. I remember winning at a quiz in Melbourne once, and the prize was like $30 behind the bar. $30 Australian dollars behind the bar. Right, that was the prize for winning the quiz, right? So I went up, I ordered 2 drinks. Two drinks. and they were like, "Yeah, the $30 ain't gonna cover that. You have to pay a little bit extra on top." And it was for beer, ladies and gentlemen, for beer. And that's the world that we've entered for ourselves, because we might as well be Australia now, so far away from anywhere, because we cut ourselves off from the mainland. We cut ourselves off from the mainland of our own continent for some stupid, idiotic, 28 years later bloody reason. Anyway, so I'll just jump into the chat before I go on. I was going to say that the media are fixated on the boat issue while the leaders are trying to get some meaningful issues sorted. One in, one out is just performative. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's my whole spiel. Anne's just summed it up. We could talk about something else now if you want. The new Wolf Alice single's out today. It's called The Sofa. Oh my God, it's delicious. It's so good. It is so fucking good. It is like the sound of the summer for me. It's luxurious. It's like it's got a 70s vibe about it. I'm getting the 60s as well. You know, the Mamas and the Papas, a bit of Carole King, a bit of it is. I don't know if a song can be delicious, but it is absolutely delicious. And if you have to go off for a few minutes and go and listen to the new song by Wolf Alice called The Sofa, be my guest. Just come back here afterwards feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to fight the good fight from the sofa. Anyway, why I was late this morning was I was hoping for a music video today, but the actual song went on YouTube at 8 o'clock, but it was just a still picture with the song. It didn't actually have a music video to go with it. Might make my own music video. Based on the footage I got of Wolf Alice at Glastonbury. Maybe I'll do that and then put it on some other channel. So I don't get this one demonetized forever for a massive big copyright strike. Anyway, look, I'm going off on one here. But Anne Phillips really does sum up that in her message there. The media are fixated on the boat issue while the leaders are trying to get meaningful issues sorted. Absolutely. And we want to talk about what Macron actually said this week, which was just phenomenal. Basically saying that Brexit was terrible for the UK and it was terrible for the EU, which is, yes. We're all there going, yeah, it's been pretty fucking awful. The price of beer has gone up to £6.90 a pint. £6.90. And you got to understand as well, like the Tory administration, right, from 2010 to 2024, the first government in modern history in this country in which living standards had gone down by the end of it. And what we have to make sure is that whenever someone says, well, the Tories let us all down, that's why I'm voting for refuck, right? We have to make it very clear to these people who are saying this, that the Tories and refuck are the same people. Same Brexit, same private schools, same investment banking hedge fund motherfuckers. Same multi-millionaires with Coots bank accounts. Same gentlemen's clubs. Same private jets to get everywhere. Same never lived in the real world. Kemi Badnoch made a speech yesterday in which she claimed that somebody in this country who had a food intolerance was given a free car by the taxpayer. I mean, I don't know what they teach in these private schools, but it's not not great, okay? It's clearly they don't teach you how to not be a see you next Tuesday. You know? Anyway, let's get back into the messages. Personally, I thoroughly enjoyed Macron speaking. It was grown up, said Scott. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. You could do a supercut, couldn't you, between Macron making a really good fucking speech, right? And talking about the international situation, NATO, China, Russia, all this shit going down around the world, climate change, Brexit, and then you can cut it with Kemi Badnoch going, did you know someone with lactose intolerance got a free car? I mean, fuck. I was listening to the speech. I was driving at the time in my car, which was fortunate because I was on my own. like, I was fortunate that like no one else was in the car with me because I was driving and I screamed at the top of my lungs, "What the fuck? What did you just say? Someone with a food intolerance was given a free car." It is the kind of absolute errant nonsense that you hear from stupid old fuckers, not all boomers, some stupid fucker who says things like, "Oh, you can't call it a blackboard anymore because it's racist, apparently." I'm like, no, we don't use blackboards anymore because Chuck Dust was getting into teachers' lungs and shaving 10 years off their lives. And also, they're incredibly messy and gets chalk all over your clothes. And why would you want that? When you can have a whiteboard. So we have whiteboards instead. But you know what? You can still call it black pudding. You can still call it Blackpool. You can still call it the Black Country. You can still use the word black to describe something that is black. Oh, you can't call it a blackboard anymore. Ooh. Fuck me. And that's who we've got in charge of the Tory party at the moment. Someone going, "Oh, well, you know what you can't say these days. You get a stick of rock. You've got to call it ethnic minority pool." Fuck me. Anyway, right, and the leader of the Tory party, she said yesterday, she stood on her own legs and out of her own face, she said that someone got a free car, because they had a food intolerance. Where she got this story from, I do not know. I absolutely don't know. A. Thompson did a really good video yesterday or the day before. It was about how think tanks, which are paid for, set up by Tories, paid for by billionaires, multi-millionaires, to come up with research saying daft shit like, 15,000 millionaires have left. Isn't true. And that gets printed on the front page of the newspapers without any kind of editorial oversight to make sure whether this is real or not, or whether it's true. And then that gets picked up by Nick Ferrari and the breakfast TV programs to say, look, it's on the front cover of the newspapers. It must be absolutely true. It must be, got the gospel. And it was just, I don't know. The one yesterday was that you get more money by being on the dole than from working, which is a age-old trope. I've heard that trope since I was in fucking nappies. Yeah, no, but people just don't want to work. People don't want to work. Like, it's okay. Well, shut up, right? When I was a kid, the population of my city fucking halved, right? And it wasn't because of some fucking murder spree. It's because there was no fucking jobs. So people left the place where they loved, the place where they grew up, the place where their football teams played every other weekend at their stadium. They left. And they went to somewhere else so they could fucking work. Why? Because sitting on your ass on the dole all day doesn't pay very well. And you know what? It's demoralising. I've got good friends who want to work but can't for whatever reason. And they find it devastating. And I completely understand that. I've never, ever in my life met someone who just says, right, what do you want to do with your life? I want to be a lazy fuck and sit on the couch and play video games all day. I mean, that's fun to unwind. But nearly everyone I know wants to do something with their life. They want a bit of money so they can spend it on some kind of luxuries instead of being absolutely 100% dependent on the money coming in just for food, just to stay warm, just to stay alive, just about keep your head above water. And it's just, it goes back to this classist bullshit about, they can afford Sky TV. Oh, they can afford cigarettes, can't they? Yeah. What else do you want them to do? Like, seriously, they were having ski trips in Saint-Tropez or somewhere. I don't know where you go for ski trips. But, if you're going skiing down the famous ski slopes of Cannes or Nice, every weekend, I'd get that. But I've never heard of someone on benefits going on a motherfucking cruise around the Pacific Islands. Maybe it's happened once. But, seriously? I mean, you. Anyway, we got a super chat in. Yay! Gareth T. Thank you very much, Gareth T. That's very kind. First super chat of the day. Thank you very much. Gareth T, you're number one. So why try harder? Jake the Snake Berry, the waste of oxygen, who is my MP. Same bloke who slagged off Reform has joined Reform. You couldn't make it up. Same bloke who hid in Wales during COVID. Morning all. Well, it's funny you should say that about Jake the Snake, because yesterday I mentioned in one of my politics groups that Jake the Snake went to Liverpool College. He was the year above me in Liverpool College in Liverpool. Now, the two schools in Liverpool that people have kind of heard of, and there's my school, Bluecoat, which was founded by slavers, so, it's a bit embarrassing. But it's a state school, it's selective, and it takes kids from all walks of life. So we had kids from like all social stratas in this particular school. Jake, however, he went to Liverpool College, which was a private school, right? And I was pointing this out, like, as I do. It's not anymore, right? And even Harris, who's also in the group that I'm in, who is the former MP, even Harris, I think he was the Lib Dem MP. And now he's very involved with the Hacked Off campaign with Hugh Grant and all that lot, trying to get Leveson 2 in place. He works very hard on that. And he wrote in the chat, I went to Bluecoat too. And I went, oh, really? You went to Bluecoat too? He goes, yeah, it was 10 years before me, like, 5-7 years, something like that. And I was like, oh, bloody hell, best school. We went to the best school. And I said, Mitch Ben went there as well, a few years before I was there. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know, Mitch. We're good mates. He was in the chess club with me in school. And I'm like, small world. Anyway, needless to say, if we had met Jake walking out when we were like, teenagers, because we were rival schools with Liverpool College, we were seen as the posh kids when we weren't. There's a lot of working class kids in our school. But we were just smart. We were just the clever kids. That's it. It was a grammar school, really, but you couldn't call it a grammar school in the 80s and 90s because that got out of fashion. It was like motorways. Do you remember when motorways went out of fashion? And it was like, no, it's an expressway. It's Knowsley Expressway. It's not a motorway. No. Don't call it the M58. M57, sorry. Don't call it the M57. It's an expressway. So, yeah, certain terms went out of favour. It is a grammar school now, but it was at the time, it was like a selective comprehensive, which is kind of an oxymoron if you think about it. But anyway, yeah, nice to know. There's another all blue out there in the form of Even Harris. And yeah, that's quite cool. Anyway, Paul, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. Whoop, 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 whoop. The only way of getting a car is via mobility scheme. You have to qualify for the full higher rate of mobility components of PIP and give that money up. I can't see how food intolerance would get any PIP. Yeah, Paula, thanks for the super chat, and you're absolutely right. It is just absolute nonsense, garbage pouring out of the mouth of the leader of the Conservative Party in some desperate bid to try and get people that they are losing left, right and centre to refuck back on board. But refuck are just the Tories. They are just an offshoot. They're more extreme Tories. They would make a worse. Our economy was fucked by the Tories, and we have to get people to understand this. The reason why the cost of living has gone up so much is because of the Tories, so the flagship Tory policy of Brexit. And whenever they challenge on this, they go, oh, well, the economy of Germany is not doing so great. I'm like, mate, sorry. Is Germany not still the fourth richest economy in the world? Let me check. Oh, yes, it is. Are we still the fifth? No. Funny that. And then they completely ignore the success stories in the EU, like Ireland, which has just come on in leaps and bounds in the last sort of 40 years. It's more progressive now, more socially progressive, more socialist than the UK is. And yeah, they're doing great. People are having a great time in Ireland. People who have an Irish passport are very happy they have an Irish passport because it means they can live in Spain for as long as they want. Like Tommy Robinson, Tommy 10 names, Tommy the twat, yeah? Living in Spain because he's got an Irish fucking passport. He can stay there as long as he likes. You can't. Your kids can't. Your parents can't retire there for the rest of their days. No. Tommy can. Tommy 10 names can. Nigel Farage can. He's got the money for it. Buy the visas. I can't adequately explain in words how much I fucking hate these motherfuckers. And while, I'll never wish death on anyone, there was a great quote. Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, said, I wouldn't wish death on anyone, but there are some obituaries that I look forward to reading. Channeling my inner Mark Twain here. God, he was a wit. If anyone said anything funny, ever, in a quiz or whatever. Who said this funny thing? If it was an American, it's Mark Twain. If it was a British person, if it was a British quote because he was Irish. But it's Oscar Wilde. Oscar every time. There's a great story that I was told once about Oscar Wilde, which is he was at a dinner party once, and someone said something tremendously witty, and he said, "Oh, that's very funny. I wish I had said that." And the lady next to him said, "Don't worry, Oscar, you will." Anyway, moving on. It should always be mentioned that Brexit happened under the Tories and should always be tied to them and never forgotten. Yeah, and also, Rosie, we have to tie it to Farage. Farage has failed Brexit. This is Farage's idea. Farage foisted this on our country. Why is my pint of beer in my twatty fucking what's that place called? Wetherspoons. My Wetherspoons. Why is my beer so expensive now? Because of Nigel Farage. Also, Timmy the Tosser, who owns all the Wetherspoons, privately educated, of course. I'm the gentleman scarecrow. Hello, I'm Tim Martin. What a twat. He also campaigns brutally to put the prices up at all of his establishments all over the country and then whinge about it. We're going to put the prices up. Supply chains. If you go into Refuck Limited wiki page and check out the people on there, they're all ex-Tories, A- from David Ball to Anne Widdecombe. Anne Widdecombe! She has a face and a voice that suits her disposition. Just saying. Remember to mention Frogface. Yeah, always tie Farage to Brexit, because the reason why cost of living has gone up so much is because of Brexit. And it's the Tories and Farage that gave us that. That bastards. And it's so painful when you hear people trotting out these think tank reports that have been reported in the newspapers that aren't true. That just not true. And then people just repeat them because it becomes like a cultural meme. It gets people's heads and they go, you can earn more money now by being on the dole. You cannot. You can absolutely not. And one of the things that Labour have done in this new welfare bill, which is good, the bit that's good, is that you can now have the right to try, the right to start work without losing your benefits, which is really, really important. One of the best things, one of the many good things, I should say, not the best thing, but one of the very good things that Labour did back in 1997 when they got in under Tony Blair, was they brought in the New Deal for musicians, and it was a very simple scheme. It just meant that if you were a musician, you could continue to claim your dole while you were getting to the big time. And as a result of that, it meant that without having to lie about it, I mean, famously, Oasis still got their dole while they were practicing to become Oasis. People lived off benefits. J.K. Rowling, she lived off benefits while she was writing Harry Potter. That's why I want to have universal basic income. But that's another story. So what it was there was a scheme to help musicians, and it was also rolled into help with management and things like that, and setting up venues. And there was teams. There was one in Liverpool called Music Bias that was tied in with Lipper, where they would actually help bands. They helped me. They helped me because I was a music video director at the time. Just as make contacts, and I was given a financial advisor for free to say, you should be charging this, you should be charging that. So stop doing videos for £100, Graham. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get me portfolio. So it's like, no, Graham, you really need to charge a bit more than that. But yes, it was a really good thing, and it meant that you still could get paid while you were rehearsing, while you were practicing, because you have to do a lot when you're a band. You can still get paid, even though you're playing these venues, you're doing these gigs, but you're only getting about 50p. You know that bit in the Blues Brothers where they play a gig, but they spend more in the bar than they were going to get for the gig, and they have to run away because, that's what it's like for a lot of bands. A lot of bands. You think about, you get a DJ in, you'll pay them, I don't know, £300 for fucking a DJ, someone to come and change the music for you because your iPod shuffles on the blink or something. Anyway, so the DJ comes in, plays a song, and because it's a human, they won't dare play a song all the way to the end, even though no one's dancing to it. They'll see, this is the best thing about human DJs, is they see that no one's dancing to that song, and then they put another one on. Only joking, they don't. They play that fucking song that nobody is dancing to the bitter end. To the bitter end. And then they'll put something else on and go, okay. And that makes them so much better than AI, because AI wouldn't know that. Anyway, moving on. So a DJ might get 300 quid, but if you've got a band and you've got 5 members of the band, and it's the same amount of money to play a gig, and you've got to have all your equipment, you can't just turn up with a speaker and an iPod. What's that? 25 quid each at the end of the day? Transportation, getting there, getting away, Anyway, Kirsty McTeer. Hello, Kirsty. How you doing? Saying, bollocks to Brexit, always. Thank you very much, Kirsty. And that is very kind of you and true. Graham butchered it, so I was forced to represent. It was Gulf Marine. What? I've never wished anyone dead, but I've read a few obituaries with great enthusiasm. That's the actual quote from Gulf Marine. Well, actually, from Mark Twain. Yeah. I don't have all the quotes in front of me. I vaguely got it right. I got the sentiment, didn't I? I sadly have met Anne Widdecombe. Oh my God, Chris, I am so sorry. In the flesh. That just makes me think of the substance for some reason. While working on the train, she is a vile woman who talks down at you. I was really hoping I could find an excuse to fine her for ticket misuse. Oh, that would have been good. We need to reclaim our living space, says Bowser. Yeah. A living space, yeah. Can we get rid of all the cars then, Bowser, in the city centres? Because I was in Newcastle yesterday, right? And it was fucking horrible, mate. It was horrible. Like every road, every street in the city centre, it's like cars, constant procession of cars. It was hot, so I wanted to sit out on the pavement, and have a iced latte or whatever, just chill, right? In the sun. Didn't want to be inside, too hot to be inside, want to be outside. But no, you've got to sit on the fucking pavement next to cars going past. And then buses. Buses, they vibrate at a certain frequency that shakes the shit out your arse. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You're trying to sit there having a fucking drink, right? Outside on the pavement. And there's this machine next to you going with this kind of like menacing intent of like, I'm just going to destroy the planet and you and everyone in it. The rise of the machine. The Terminators are here. Woohoo! And if you go to the city actual fucking pedestrianised road in Newcastle, they're digging it all up. So it's all pneumatic drills and big fucking JCB diggers. And it's like, oh my God, the noise pollution and the pollution from all the fucking shit that these cars are pumping out and the trucks and the taxis and the buses. And it's like, why isn't this all pedestrianised? The whole fucking area. A big 1 mile fucking circle around the fucking city centre, pedestrianised. Because we do that with Glastonbury. You can't drive around Glastonbury, you got to fucking walk with the legs that God gave you. Don't fucking drive around Disneyland, do you? No, don't drive around Alton Towers. No, you park outside and you fucking walk in. You have a tram or something, so you don't have to walk so far if you're that fucking lazy. But, just city centres, right? No cars. There you go. That's how you reclaim your living space. Although, I kind of feel like you were talking about Hitler-style Lebensraum, but, whatever, But yeah, I agree. I agree that we should get rid of all the cars in the city centres of every city and every town in this country. Like, go to the beach. Go to the fucking beach. Go to, I don't know, fucking Scarborough or somewhere and just experience the horror that is being on the beach next to the fucking road with all these little twats going up and down it in their souped-up Subarus going really fucking loud. Brum, brum! I'm a very special boy. Look at me! Look at me! Or there's twats who go to little villages on their fucking motorbikes. Can you stop doing that? When did that become a thing? Oh, what a tranquil little village. I think I'll turn up with a fucking noise machine and go at everyone. Why would you do that? Why would you fucking do that? Hey, I tell you what, when I turn up at your house, just in the middle of the afternoon, while you're sitting there on the couch, watching the telly or whatever, and on a Saturday afternoon, and I'll come along and I'll just play some really fucking loud industrial metal at you. There you go. Have some fucking booming music. Really fucking loud. It'll shake your fucking foundations of your house. You don't like that? Well, why'd you go and do that in other people's houses? Stop it. Fucking stop it. I'm going to start a bloody campaign about getting fucking noise pollution sorted out because it's too much. Life is stressful enough. You can't make a single mistake these days. You put the wrong thing in for the train that you're supposed to get. £79 fine for that. You put your car in the, you read the sign a little bit wrong. £100 fine for that. You put 2 tires in a fucking bus lane in a place that you've never been to because the bus lane is active between 1 and 7 p.m. or something, and you didn't know. And oh my god, you clocked on a fucking picture. Fine for that. And we're walking around all day, all of us, freaking out that we're going to make a tiny fucking mistake. And any tiny mistake in this life, in this world that we have created, in the society we have created, costs you money. Costs you money? What the fuck? Like, what the... Anyway, quite animated this morning, aren't I? Anyway, moving on. So I get the heat and noise is too much, says Leanne Scott. Yeah. I can't watch Graham and pull guard duty at the same time, says Gulf Marine. Oh, sorry. Bradford City Centre, except mobility cars and buses, is pedestrianised. It's fantastic, and the air is breathable at last. Yeah. I don't even think buses should be allowed to go in there. I don't see why. Pedestrianise the motherfuckers. Just think of it like Disneyland, or Alton Towers, or Glastonbury. You park outside. You park outside and you fucking walk in. Maybe back in the day, in the olden days, there was an excuse because you go to Rapid Hardware in Liverpool when it was there, right? And you needed to get a load of paint, right? And it would be quite awkward for you to have to walk, 2 miles with a big thing of paint. Okay, cool. All right, I'll tell you what, I'll meet you halfway, right? We don't have those shops in the city centres anymore. We have them out in the outskirts, don't we? In their industrial parks or retail parks or whatever the fuck you call them. Most people buy stuff off the internet. Why don't we make the city centres like venues, like all of them? Like they are venues. They're art galleries. They're little. I mean, if you're gonna have some shops, there'll be gift shops. I don't like shopping. I know there's a whole thing about commercialism. Oh my god, we've got to go out and try things on and try another thing on and then maybe get it, whatever. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy spending money at the best of times because I don't have much money. So yeah. I would rather go to town and know that there's bands on, there's music, there's buskers, there's cafes. We can sit out in the road and not have to worry every 5 seconds about having to move because we're going to get hit by a fucking car. There's a particularly annoying street here in Durham where they allow posh people in their very expensive cars to climb to the top of the hill to get to the cathedral all fucking day. And it's a little narrow medieval street. And when a fucking car comes along, all the pedestrians are squeezed onto the side of these, and the pavements are not wide enough to fit a wheelchair on. Yeah. So don't come back to me about, mobility issues, like having cars that go to the top of the hill. And it's always someone on their own. It's always someone on their own in some fucking SUV or some fucking, people carrier or something going up the fucking hill, completely empty. And they're just constant. It's just fucking constant up this little fucking narrow street here in Durham. It just does my fucking head in. And you pay £5 and they moaned about that. They're like, why do we have to pay £5 to go up the fucking hill? Because no one needs to go up the hill. Oh, students live up there. Okay, fine. You know what? In September, Freshers Week, we'll allow people to drive up the fucking hill until 8 o'clock in the morning. Get there nice and early, drive up at 8 o'clock in the morning, before 8 o'clock in the morning, get your stuff done and come back down. Don't bother me. Don't bother me when you've got hundreds and hundreds of people walking up this fucking road and then you've got Anyway, moving on. Graham, you've got to have got to go have a chat as compensation. Oh, sorry to see you go, Sarah, but thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Graham won't be happy until we go back to the days of horse and cart, lol. No, we have horses and carts here in Durham, which is quite fun. They're like buggies going along the horse and cart. But no, I'm not. I would rather not have horses going around. I just want city centres to be for people and not for cars. In the 1960s, they went, everything's got to be for the car. Everything's got to be made around the physique of the car. Everyone's got to be made for the needs and the wants and the desires of cars. And it was this fucking mad idea that like 1 million people would swarm to the city centre in 1 million cars. And then they'll get out the car and then they'll go into the shop that was just next to the car and they'll buy the thing and they'll put it in the car and then they'll drive off. And that'll be great. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. And yeah, like the way city centres are going at the moment because of Amazon, because of, you know, retail outlets and stuff like that out on the outskirts, they're dying. They're dying as they are. We need a complete rethink. Going to the city centre should be an option for a nice day. It isn't at the moment. If you go to the city centre of Newcastle, at the moment, it's not for a nice day. It's because you need to buy something. Quite frankly, they've really fucked it. They've really fucked it up. But you know, they needed cars. There's a inner city motorway that runs like spaghetti all over fucking Newcastle. Leeds had the same problem. Birmingham, don't get me started on Birmingham. Thankfully, Liverpool's inner city motorway kind of petered out towards the actual city centre. They never finished it. But there are stupid roads in Liverpool. Like there is a 6-lane highway cutting the city centre, the Liverpool 1 area, right? From the Albert Dock, one of the biggest tourist attractions. You've got to cross a fucking motorway. You know, no, get rid of all the cars. That's it. That's it. And single lane track. They can only fucking go on a horse. Okay, maybe I won't go that far. About 8 hours difference. Sorry, can I get back on target? Stay on target. Completely derailed there, wasn't I? Went off on a side quest. That's okay. We like side quests on this channel. But yeah, so let's talk about one in, one out for a moment. The UK is to return 50 small boat migrants a week to France, and France will send 50 asylum seekers with family links in the UK. Only applies to people who haven't already tried to cross illegally on the inbound leg, and the Safe Route is an online application platform in France. So this could be the start of something great, okay? And I know that it's small at the moment, and I don't think it's going to work. I don't think this one in, one out policy is going to work. But I am glad that there is going to be an online application platform from France, okay? So let's see what happens with that. Groundbreaking, unprecedented, turning the tables, said Starmer. We cannot solve this challenge by acting alone, which is true. And Starmer saying this is going to act as a deterrent to smugglers. And again, I do not see the point of that. And famously, if you jail one drug lord, one drug cartel boss, you know, you manage to shoot Pablo Escobar dead, and another cartel will rise up the next day. Someone else will take their place. There'll just be a gap in the market, and nature and the economy abhors a vacuum. There is demand, so there'll always be supply. So I don't think that going after the smugglers is the way to do it. I think that the way to do this, and I'm not the only person to say this, I'm not the first person to say this, a lot of people have said this in the chat. However, like, this is the reality. If we allow safe routes, which we don't at the moment, then that will be a much more tasty option than getting into a dinghy. The problem is, what they haven't really thought through maybe, or whatever, is there's going to be people who will apply in France, be turned down, and then get in a dinghy. How'd you stop that? Ivan, thank you very much. Town centres too, Graham, like Ipswich in my hometown where I've always lived. Oh yeah, towns, villages, everywhere. Like, the fact that villages have a big fucking busy road going through them blows my mind. No, fuck off. Just close it. Just close it. I mean, obviously there'll be issues with trying to get around a bit. But I think about this because, look, I often take the A66 home from Liverpool here back here to Durham, right? When I'm driving, and that the route I take is kind of the fastest route I can take if I'm taking that road. So I will go through Kirkby Stephen, and I'll also go through Barnard Castle, famous for the eye tests. And they're little villages, and I think it's a bit daft that they have so much traffic going through the little villages. And to be honest with you, if they shut those villages off to through traffic, which they could do, I would just go a bit further up the M6, and I will come off at a higher junction and go across the top and then come down. It would add an extra 50 miles or so onto my journey, which is a ball ache, but it would mean I wouldn't be driving through a village. But as things stand, I'm going to drive through the fucking village because what difference does it make? It's a lot quicker. It's a lot shorter. But if that option wasn't there, I wouldn't fucking do it, would I? Would I? No. I diddly I. And also, I want HGVs off the roads. Fuck off. Get off our roads. Go on the motorways, right? And then you get to the end of the motorway and there's a depot there, right? Get off the fucking motorway into the depot and then your stuff gets put into vans. That's it. Our roads are getting absolutely trashed, and the amount of people who die, pedestrians, people in cars, motorcyclists killed by HGV drivers, cyclists, fucking the number of cyclists who were killed by HGV drivers driving around little suburban streets. And I'm like, fuck off. Get the fuck off our streets. Why are these fucking monsters allowed to truck around? Truck off, you motherfuckers. You can get to the end of your motorway, drop it off at the depot, get your container taken off at the depot, and then fuck off back up the motorway. Thank you very much. Stop coming into our towns. Stop coming into our cities. Stop coming into our suburbs. Stop coming into our fucking villages. Stop it. You know, we've got the logistics to make this work. It's just that it will cost a little bit more time and energy. And we're like, oh no, the car can't be stopped. The car must not stop. The vehicles must not stop. It must not stop. So can we put a pedestrian crossing in? No! Nine! Why? Why not? Because the cars must not stop. Yeah, but the people in the cars are comfortable. The people in the cars are sitting there. In the winter, they've got the heater on. In the summer, they've got their AC on. You know, they're sitting there, they're comfortable. They're sitting down in a fucking nice, comfy fucking chair. The cars must not stop. Okay, so what are you going to do? We're going to build a bridge. You're going to build a bridge over a fucking... Are you kidding me? It's like about fucking 5 meters. Why would you need to build... Because the cars must not stop. Fucking hell. So, okay, tell me how much it is to put the pedestrian lights in. It's about 50 grand. Okay, how much is it to put a fucking bridge in? 500,000. So, what the fuck? Why am I even... Okay, and what's the footprint for this bridge? Because obviously you're going to have to make it wheelchair accessible. Oh yeah, we're going to have a whirly-curly thing on one side and a whirly-curly thing on the other. It's going to take up about, 17 acres of land. So, let me get this straight. Instead of just putting a pedestrian crossing in, yeah, you're going to spend 10 times the amount. You're going to take up 10 times more space. You're going to make pedestrians walk up a hill and then walk back down again in order to get across this road. Yeah. Instead of just putting in some fucking traffic lights. Or even, a zebra crossing. It should be even cheaper. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I mean, how mad would you sound if you pitched that? If you came into a council meeting or something, I got, great idea. Got a great idea. You know, you're thinking of putting those pedestrian lights in. We're going to build a bridge. Big, horrible, ugly, motherfucking concrete bridge. Yeah. That's the way they all thought in the fucking 1960s. It was all the lead in the paint, and the lead in the fuel, and the lead in the pipes, the lead in the water, the lead in the makeup. Fucking made them fucking lunatics. Maybe all the lead made them think that they were a car. And they were like, it's my right to never stop as a car, because, you know, if a car stops, then woo! Put the fucking lights in. Just give us pedestrian crossings. Just give us zebra crossings. Please. Stop designing modern life around the needs of a fucking car. I'm sick of it. Fucking get out and fucking walk. We talk about how unhealthy Britain is and how unhealthy people are in this country. It's don't fucking walk anywhere. If you live in a Barrett estate, right, and you need to go to the shops, you go to the local retail park, you drive there, you drive back. You park right outside B&Q, you get your stuff to come back. And well, you could get some exercise, I guess, by going to the city centre and having a nice day in the city centre. You know, we've got city centres that are absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, absolutely phenomenally beautiful city centres. But yeah, and yet they have all been marred. Every single one of them have been marred by the town planners, the architects, and the engineers of the 1960s, who, as far as I'm concerned, should be in jail for what they've done to society, to our culture, to our way of life. Because everything had to be all about the car, and this concept, this mad idea that there had to be a red line. You know, like Starmer and Reeves, they loved the red lines. Like, it's red line. What's the red line? The cars must not stop. Never. The cars must not stop. What? Not even to let a pedestrian across the road? Not even to let someone in a wheelchair, like a child in a wheelchair. You gotta make them go up a fucking hill and then go over the road and then come back down the other side. Yeah, I'm gonna make someone in a wheelchair go up a fucking hill, right? To go over the road instead of just having a crossing. I mean, it's so ableist. It is so bigoted. It is so dystopian, totalitarian. It's fascist. That's what it is. The town planners of the 1960s, bunch of fucking fash. I'm sure there's people here who are going to be very offended at me saying that and saying, but my good friend, blah, blah, blah. My dad was a town planner in the 1960s and he wasn't a fash. I don't care. I don't care. I hate it. I fucking hate it. I want a revolution in which we reclaim our streets. And I think it's something that we could do. Absolutely, it's something we could do. There's a great future for Graham in town planning. If you should ever fancy it as a career. Thanks very much, Anne. But I don't think there is. I don't think there is because I think that it's all kind of stitched up by the toffs who don't actually live in the cities. They live in their country estates. Check out the names of the people who built the 1960s. They were all the fucking aristocracy. It was the aristocracy building these fucking horrible tower blocks. My granddad lived in a tower block in Bootle, right? And it fucking stank of piss because people were pissing the fucking doorway. It's been demolished now, like, thank God. But, like, they were just slums in the sky. They really were. And I know, you get these hipsters who, like, go, oh, these tower blocks are fucking amazing. You get on the top, you can see them, a massive fucking, you get this great view. Do you know what? They don't consider the fact that everyone else has to look at that fucking abomination. The fact that everyone else has to look at that piece of shit building that was put together for £2.50 out of asbestos and prefab fucking concrete slabs. Falling apart. All falling apart. Oh, fucking, Terrible, terrible idea. And I'm built on a lie, my friends. Built on a lie that, oh no, we needed to fit all these people in, and the only way we could possibly fit all the people in is by putting them in the sky. No, that's a lie, because basically the footprint of these buildings wasn't just where the building goes up. They had to be able to fall sideways and not hit anything. So the higher you built it, the further away you had to build other things. And actually, if you want population density, Terrace Street, like what I live on here in Durham, Terrace Street, sorry for my friends, but got to tell you, more population density in a terrace street than there is in a set of tower blocks. And we don't all have to share the same piss-soaked fucking lift. Anyway, sorry, I'm completely not talking about what I was going to talk about today, which is probably why no one's my Stitch Up by the Toss pretty much sums up the entire history of the country, possibly the world. Says Anne, yeah, fucking they know best. Yeah, Leanne Scott, let's bring community back to the centre. Yeah, absolutely. City centres are dying. We need a revolutionary way of thinking about it, right? So think about it this way. Think about it like Alton fucking Towers. You park outside, you go in. Because what makes city centres desperately unpleasant for people is the cars and the buses and all the shit going through. You every 5 fucking seconds you're having to turn around to see, there's a car. Oh God, here we go. And you have to move over. You think there's a moving fucking death machine stalking you at all times. It's like trying to go shopping, but the fucking Terminator's on your tail. Do you know what I mean? It's like, can I just relax? I just want to relax. How about that? It's a city centre and I just relax. There's a band playing. I can have a coffee. I can have some alcohol-free beer or just, alcoholic beer if I haven't driven in. Get the train in, get the tram in, nice. Just drop me off. I'll walk half a mile if I have to. And if I am going to buy something ridiculously heavy for some reason, maybe I'm going to get a really big book from the bookstore. Really fuck off big book. I'll bring me little trolley. The one that I had at Glastonbury that I walked like 7 miles with to get to the fucking tent. I'll bring that and I'll drag it along behind me and I'll fucking walk like I fucking do at Glastonbury because I've got legs and I could do with the exercise. I mean, look at me. I could do with the exercise. Anyway, can we get back to what are we supposed to be talking about? I wish Graham would stop going on about something that's got absolutely nothing to do with the title of this show. We're 53 minutes in, although I was a bit late getting started. So let's say I'm 49 minutes in. So let's talk about this deterrent to smugglers. Macron has blamed Brexit for this mess, quite rightly, because, it is the fault of Brexit. Absolutely. He calls Brexit a lie. He said the UK-EU cooperation is vital, which he's completely correct about. And he warns of the temptation of populists and urged Starmer and others not to cede to them. And, this is more of a symbolic gesture at the moment than an overall plan. But the fact that people will be able to apply, even in small numbers, the fact that people will be able to apply for asylum while they're in France for the UK, this is a major step, okay? And maybe Labour are being canny here. I know. Heaven forfend Labour are ever fucking canny, but maybe Maybe they are being, because they're making sure that the headline is about the one in, one out thing, and they're just slipping that idea in, they're slipping the thing in. You can apply for asylum in the UK, in France, which is what we all want. So there you go. Macron, absolutely 100% on the money here, but with 50 migrants a week, this is 2,600 a year, up to, as we discussed yesterday. So last year's crossings, there was like 30,000 people came over. So this is, less than 10%. And it doesn't account for future increases in volume. But Macron doesn't even promise to scale it up. He says he needs EU backing first, but it's a first step. It's a first step, and I welcome it. I welcome it because I kind of get that it's, we can't run the world like I would like to, where it's just like, hey, why don't we just do this revolution right now? Why don't we just bring in universal basic income? Why don't we just have safe routes into the UK where you can apply from anywhere in the world as long as you pay some money to get asylum here? I know that can't be done overnight, and it requires the cooperation with other countries. I'm aware of that, but this is a really good first step. That I don't, it seems mad to go, it's not going to work, but it's a good first step. It's not going to be an absolute game changer, but it puts the steps in place for it to be a game changer. Once they scale this up and forget about the one in, one out shit, I think that's all a distraction. The fact that you can apply for asylum in the UK from France, that's the real headline here. So, Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I have never liked Macron and never will. I'm glad Starmer reined him in with his big mouth. Thanks for that, Ivan. I quite like Macron. But yeah, you look great. You're looking good for 30, says Sean. Oh, thank you, Sean. Thank you, beautiful man. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Macron complaining about population is hilarious, given that he is a centralist populist. Sorry, about populism, not population. Learn to read, Graham. Thanks very much for the super chat there, Paula. Opportunity, hope. Yes. You might say, Leanne, that I'm on the hopium, but it's better than the copium. We need to appropriate housing for your time of life, young, old, divorced, disabled. Sean, yeah. I've thought about this, right? Because if you are a family person, right, and you got a family, you don't want to live in a city centre, in a flat. It's noisy. People go out and party, drink, have sex in alleyways and stuff. You want to be out in the suburbs. So it makes sense that city centre living is for young people who haven't got a family. I mean, you have a family, you go out to the suburbs and you get a 2 or 3 bedroomed house, maybe a 4 bedroomed house if you're feeling flush. And then your kids leave and then you get a smaller house, but so many people aren't doing that. So many people aren't doing it. They're living in these massive houses on their own. Don't mind if other people live there as well, but they're literally on their own in a massive fucking house with 4 bedrooms. Meanwhile, a family is living in sheltered accommodation. It just seems a bit mad to me. It's fucking, downsize, get yourself a little cottage or a bungalow or something, spend all your money on whatever old people spend their money on, crack and rock music. Power to the people with Graham Price, woohoo, has been a member for 19 months. Keep up the good work, Mr. Hughes. Thank you very much, Mr. Price. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you for being a fan of this channel for 19 months. A member. You can become a member as well if you would like to become a member. I mean, I'm not going to force anyone to become a member against their will, but if you'd like to join the channel, you see the join button. It is a very sexy thing to do. I hear all the sexy people are doing it. No, Graham, we want families in the city centre a mix. No, I don't think it's a good environment for kids in a city centre. This might be from my experience of growing up in Liverpool, but it's fucking noisy. There are no gardens to play in. You can't play out. Where can you kick a footy around in the city centre? I think city centres are awful for somewhere for kids to grow up. I really, I couldn't disagree more. I think that, out in the suburbs, cool. But yeah, city centre living is very much a young person's prerogative. Students and people who want to party all night. I know I've got friends who've lived in city centres with kids, and they seem to manage, but I would find it difficult. I mean, I wouldn't find it difficult if it was on my own. I'd fucking love it if I could afford it. But no, I think that is we need to look at the way that we need to look at the way that we work in our spaces that we have in our own country, in our own cities and towns and villages, and just how they function. And I think that, like, putting kids in a city centre flat is a bit dysfunctional. I think having one old person in a massive fucking 4-bedroom mansion is dysfunctional as well. Anyway, we're kind of getting off the topic here a little bit. Ooh, Rosie's just gifted 5 Politics Social Gift memberships. Thank you so much, Rosie. That is very, 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 very kind of you. Thank you so much. And I'd like to welcome our new members of the channel: Gillian Hope, Pete Van Den Kat, Andreas Wolf, Christopher Bowles, and Michael N. Welcome, welcome. You are awesome. And thanks very much to Rosie for donating that. That's very, very kind of you, Rosie. Thank you. This is like what they call memory paths, is it? Desire paths. This is like a desire path. This whole show is like a desire path. It's like there's an actual bit where they put the paving down where they want you to walk, and yet people cut across the grass, and eventually you'll see where they cut across the grass, and it becomes known as a desire path. And they try and stop people going down the desire path by putting a bench in the way, or some people just walk around the bench. Yeah, this is what this is like, because I've got my my flagstones down of where I want to go on this show. I want to talk about Starmer, Farage, Macron, immigration, our relationship with the EU, and yet we keep going down the desire path, which I want to talk about urban planning and social structures and big ideas about how we want the future to look. And I want the future of our cities and towns and villages to be pedestrianised. That's it. Not a through route. Not a through route on the way somewhere else. And yeah, like, you could say, well, build a bypass then, Graham, so you can bypass Barnard Castle. No, the roads are there. It's my choice to go through Barnard Castle. Like, there are other ways to get to Liverpool. There are other roads. There's enough roads, I think. There's enough roads. We need to get people off the road onto the trains. But does anybody want to have a guess in the chat? Right. So I'm just gonna bring it up so I know the exact amount. Does anyone have a guess what a return ticket from Durham to Liverpool is? How much? Right. This is a standard ticket. Okay. From Durham. Oh God, my keyboard's not working. Oh no, my wireless keyboard has run out of it's run out of juice. Oh my God. Press the U button. I'm literally pressing the U button here on my keyboard. Oh, there you go. It's done it now. Done it now that I picked it up. Durham to LI, Liverpool Lime Street. Okay. So have a guess. Have a guess at how much tickets are. 150 quid, says Amy. Not quite 150, around 200 quid. Well, maybe. Okay, so Trip is saying £56. Pygmalion saying £57. Martin Harrow's the closest so far with 120. Leonora says 80. Colin Baker says 100. It's £111.80. If you get it on the train line, you've also got to pay a fee, obviously, on top of that. And it's £114.59. So let me just get my calculator up, right? 114.59 times 4. So with the 4 of us went together, and we do have a family pass, so it would be a bit cheaper than this. But if you didn't have a family pass, right, whatever it's called, it would be £458 and 36 pence for all four of us in our family to get to Liverpool from Durham and back. £458, 36 pence. Do you know how much it is in our electric car to get there? Well, I told you this a million times. £3. £3 for the four of us. We could take a hitchhiker if we wanted to. If I don't hitchhiked anymore. How mad is that? How absolutely mad is that? I think it'd be a good idea to put something in the tenancy agreement that once their current home becomes underused, they will be expected to downsize. I don't think, Chris, that there is a real way to force people out of their homes, because it is their home and they may have spent a lot of money and time doing it all, making it perfect for themselves. I just think that it should be seen as less socially acceptable. I think that societal pressure should be put a little bit more on that particular generation who are hogging a lot of the housing stock. We don't have enough housing stock to go around. We've had a housing shortage. The Tories only built 456 houses in the whole time that they were in power. Oh my God. Oh my God. The only government in modern history to oversee a fall in living standards. Why anyone now would vote Conservative is just beyond me. And it's why VFUC are doing so well, because all these Tories don't want to vote for the Tories again after what they did. But what they failed to realise is VFUC are just the fucking Tories. They're just Tory plus or Tory minus in a lot of cases. There should be a good old-fashioned price list. That's coast-to-coast airfare in the US. Yep. I'll pick you up and bring you back for 100 quid, says Martin. This will make you mad. I used to pay £26 return to London and Derby, but that was a long time ago. Yeah. In the 90s, it was free, says Sean. Yeah, I don't know. In the 90s. Anyway, so let's just talk again. I'm sorry that I keep going off on tangents here. So Starmer had a jab at Farage. While we've been working hard to get a returns agreement, others have been simply taking pictures of the problem. This is a reference to Farage's GB News stunt yesterday on a boat, where he went out on a boat and he took pictures of migrants on his little dinghy. And you know, there is a bit of polling panic here. According to Portland Communications, 26% of 2024 Labour voters who have defected to reform say they'll consider returning if small boat crossings fall. So this is something that Labour do need to get a handle on. You need to get a grip on. And I can tell them now how to stop these entirely. Get a returns agreement with France. Get a processing centre set up in France. Okay, that's how you do it. It'll stop the gangs. Before 2017, there were no boat crossings. No recorded. Not a single recorded boat crossing. I mean, I'm sure there were some that came in the cover of the night that got in we don't know about, but like, as far as recorded boat crossings, there weren't any. There weren't any at all. Surprised he didn't pop a few with a fag, says Sean. Oh, I've got to be careful saying the F word here. You know, it gets your platform demonetized because they think that it's the American slur for gay person, whereas in the UK it's cigarette, isn't it? Yeah, like I think in 1995, didn't like Supergrass use it in a song and Pulp use it in a song, and I think Oasis used it in the song as well. And they all got like banned in America on some networks because it was like, oh my God, they've used a slur. And I was like, no, it's not the same thing. It just means cigarette. And obviously cigarette is a very clunky word to try and put into a song because it's 3 syllables. Clunky. But, you know, Oasis managed it in their song, Cigarettes and Alcohol. Thank you for the £10 from Ivan Ambrose, my local Labour Party meeting this evening. But yet again, no mention that it's online as well as in person. It has been online too, but previously, but I need reassurance. They know about my conditions. Yeah, I mean, look, Ivan, all you need is a phone there, isn't it? Just to stream it to you. Although I don't know how good the sound quality will be, and obviously if people are standing up and asking questions, then you're in the realms of having to 2 camera setup, camera up. But you know, I mean, I stream stuff all the fucking time, and I do it for fuck all. So, well, nothing usually, but there you go. Paul says, has Kat not got a disabled person's rail card? She should have one, and your company should get the same discount. You got to pay for it. You don't get it for free. You got to pay for it, and if you don't use the trains enough, it's not worth it. It's not like, oh, you're disabled. Here you go. Have a rail card. Doesn't work like that. It's really shit. I think we've got a family rail card. I think that's what we've got at the moment, because we worked out that we could use that. But if Kat gets a disabled person's rail card, it'll only work if she's with me. So if I go to Liverpool on my own, like I'm doing tomorrow, I can't use it, and you got to pay for it. It's just fucking shit. I mean, you would expect, wouldn't you? You would think, oh, that must be free. Yeah, what? You can't hear the announcements. You can't hear what they're not done. Okay, so you get a discount, right? In fact, if you don't hear that they put over the tannoy that the train is late and they're going to have to get another train from another platform, and you don't hear that, and you end up getting the wrong train as a result of not being able to hear what they say on the tannoy, you still have to pay the fine, the massive fucking fine, like 100 quid or something, for like the £2.50 it should have cost you, because you got on a train from another train company, because it's not all nationalised. And it's very, very, very ableist. Incredibly ableist. But you know what? It's fine. It's fine. They put on one film a week with subtitles at the cinema. The bare legal minimum. Don't worry, everyone. We're keeping to the Equality Act of 2010. The one that defines what a woman is. Yeah, great. What a whole new world where ableism is a thing of the past. Yeah. It's fucking disgusting. The way the trains are run in this country is fucking disgusting. Obviously, I've travelled, right? I've never been somewhere where the service has been that shit for that cost. The only comparable thing I think of is maybe the Greyhound buses in America, which I would refuse to get on now. I'd rather fucking walk. I'd rather run from fucking coast to coast like Forrest fucking Gump than get on one of those fucking bastard things again. They're absolutely hideous, horrific forms of torture that the Americans dreamt up to keep the working class down. Like the bus stations are always in like the dingiest part of fucking town. The staff treat you like shit. The buses are disgusting. They're never clean. They're never nice. It's just a thoroughly, thoroughly unpleasant experience. And while I will forgive my experiences in West Africa or in East Africa or in Central Asia, where I've had to fucking sit on top of a fucking bus or clamber aboard a train or whatever I've had to do to get from one place to another, at least it was cheap. At least it was like $1 to go 100 miles. Anyway, the dump became the landfill, says Gump Marine, and ugly people now severe appearance defects. One in, one out. Starmer's red line Brexit cosplay continues. Anything to distract from the SM-shaped elephant in the room, says Nick. Graham, worse than Indian buses. Yeah, way worse. Indian buses are like fucking 60 rupee to go across half the country. You can get from like, I don't know, fucking... you can get from Chennai to Kolkata for like, I don't know, £2.50 on a bus. It's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, honestly, the buses in Bangladesh are amazing. Like, the fucking air-conditioned, lovely, clean buses. You get some free food on the bus. You don't get that on the fucking Greyhounds. You get shit. They don't even stop on the Greyhound. They don't even stop somewhere to get food halfway through the journey. It's just, if you got no water when you get on, you get on board a fucking Greyhound bus on a 7-hour journey, and like, shit, needs to get fucking water. Oh, it's all right. We'll get some water when we get to fucking New Orleans, right? And you're in a traffic jam for 7 hours because, the American fucking roads are fucked. Like, water. Say to the driver, can I get some water? Don't talk to me! I'm the driver! You can't! And they don't have a conductor on board. The buses in India, the buses in Vietnam, the buses in Panama, they have a fucking conductor on board. You don't have to talk to the driver. You talk to the conductor. What's the problem? I'm too cold. Can you turn the fucking air conditioner off, please? I've got like icicles forming in my nostrils. I can really do some water. Can we get some water here? The toilet's not working. Whatever it is. You don't have to hassle the fucking driver about it. But now in the US, it's just, because they've got to keep the costs down, don't they? If you've got to have a conductor on board, then you've got to pay for the conductor as well as the driver. So the bus driver is the conductor, but you can't talk to them. And if you try and talk to them, especially while they're driving, oh my God, they'll scream at you because you're scum to them. The attitude of Greyhound bus drivers and the Greyhound staff in general is fucking disgusting. That company should hang its head in fucking shame. As someone who's taken public transport in every single country in the motherfucking world, I have to tell you, Greyhound is the fucking pits. That company deserves to go fucking bankrupt. I mean, it's already morally bankrupt. So, it's already halfway there, I guess. Nearly half of voters, just to get back onto the polls, right? So nearly half of voters think that Farage most represents change, right? Can I just let that sit for a moment? Farage represents change. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is why we need to get the message out that he is a continuity candidate. He is continuity toff. He is continuity cunt. That's who he is. He said that Liz Truss's mini budget was the greatest budget since the 1980s, since Maggie Thatcher. That's what he said. He got us out the EU and made the price of everything go up, plunged thousands of families in this country into poverty, abject poverty, because of him and his fucking ego and his xenophobia, which doesn't extend to his own children who speak German, but, anyone else. Farage's narrative is that we should leave the European Court of Human Rights. Of course he does, because he can afford lawyers and protection. He can afford his own police force. He can afford a private investigator. He can afford a private hospital stay. He can afford it all. He's a multimillionaire with a cunt account. This is Farage is making out that he's this great disruptor, and we've got to nip this narrative in the bud. And I'm at my wit's end here, because I don't really know what I can do to change anyone's fucking opinion on this, because no fucker who goes for refuck is gonna watch this channel. But hopefully, maybe a few people watching this will take what I've said and use it against someone who thinks that Nigel Farage is great, and point out to them in no uncertain terms that Nigel Farage is a gobshite. Ask them what happened to the pilot. Ask them what happened to the pilot in the plane crash. There you go. There's a nice little conspiracy theory for you. The right love conspiracy theories. Go and get your teeth into that one. Imagine if Starmer had been in a plane crash and the pilot has subsequently taken his own life. Just imagine what people would be saying about Starmer right now. What the headlines would be. Just imagine. Or Corbyn, even if it was the previous leader of Labour. Imagine if it was him. Imagine the headlines. Anyway, so Starmer he's trying to look tough without sounding cruel. He's trying to fix a problem caused by Brexit without admitting that Brexit was the cause, Nick Ovs. And he's trying to solve migration issue with legal routes while still appeasing the anti-migrant press. So this is a tightrope that Starmer is having to walk. Starmer does this. He works in nuance, but they can't get their message out to people. And Farage offers rage, and rage sells. All of your problems in your life are caused by immigrants. We need to flip the script on that and get people to understand and learn and really get their head around this. All the problems in life are caused by Farage. It was his fault that we Brexited, and if we hadn't Brexited, there'd be no one coming over in a boat. It's his fault that we Brexited, and if we hadn't Brexited, a pint would still be £2.50. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the defence pact that was talked about this week, the Entente Industrielle. This is a refresh of our defence coordination between us and the French. Nuclear coordination. Britain and France, the only countries in Europe that have nuclear weapons. So there's going to be an update to the Lancaster House treaties of 2010. There's also going to be joint development of new cruise missiles to replace the Storm Shadow stroke Scalp technology. And also there's going to be a collaboration on anti-drone weaponry, which is really important. Like, look, we all saw that amazing, audacious strike against Russia, Russian bombers by the Ukrainian military, and it was phenomenally successful. But at the same time, Ukrainian cities, especially Kyiv and Kharkiv and Kherson, are getting absolutely hammered by these drone attacks, which are just non-stop. And it wouldn't take much. It only takes one drone flown near Heathrow to close the whole airport down for the afternoon. So, yeah, drone defenses really, really, really important. Yeah, Macron's pitches that Europe can no longer trust America. And he's absolutely right. 100% right. You might not like him, but he's right. You can't knock him for that. You can't knock him for saying that America's untrustworthy, because it absolutely is. America, which is now wanting to put 35% tariffs on Canada for some reason. I don't know. He said he was going to get 200 fucking trade deals. He got 3. And they're all shit. And they all haven't helped the American economy at all. It's almost as though he's getting his orders from the Kremlin, innit? And then, he also talked about American intelligence blackouts on Ukraine, and also some of the other shit that America's pulled over the last few months while Trump's been in power. And he's pushed for deeper Franco-British ties in the absence of American uncertainty, in the absence of American certainty. There's a bit of subtext to this, which France is still pissed off about. AUKUS. AUKUS was this agreement to make submarines. It was supposed to go to France. It ended up going to Australia, and they put lots of money aside for this. They're expecting these big defense contracts to come in to France, and they didn't. They ended up going to Australia instead, and they're still pissed off about it, and they don't trust the UK post-Brexit so much. They're limiting the UK access to the 150 billion euro safe defence fund. Yet Macron sees no viable alternative partner right now. France is huge. Germany is huge. Britain is huge. They're the big players in Europe. And Germany is kind of bogged down in bureaucracy, and its economy is not doing so well at the moment. It's got a lot of internal problems, and they're kind of concentrating on that. They were really, really badly hit by the Ukrainian invasion by Russia, because they got a shitload of their natural gas from Russia, and so they had to diversify away from Russia to get that gas. That's been a huge issue in Germany. Obviously, they've got the issues with the rise of the far right, although Germany's not alone in that. But you can see how Macron might be thinking that Britain, fucking hell, they've behaved like a bunch of petulant fucking school children for the previous fucking 15 years. But maybe with Starmer in charge, we might be seeing a little bit of, retrenchment in our positions. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm really hoping for. And I think that, reading between the lines, that's what Macron is hoping for as well. But he's not going all in. This is a cautious approach by Starmer and also by Macron. Hey, look, they're cautious people. So Macron and Starmer have talked about a coalition of the willing to sort of supersede NATO in a way, and NATO without America, to guarantee Ukrainian security and sovereignty post-war. And that coalition at the moment seems a bit toothless. So we need to work on that, and we need to find a way of moving forward in a world in which America isn't a player anymore. America's taken its toys and gone home. So we need to make our own toys, I guess. This is a new relationship, a reset of relationship with our closest and dearest friends in France. And that's a good thing. I don't see it as far as, we're entering a zone of a special relationship. But don't forget, until fucking a couple of years before the outbreak of World War One, we were at war with France for 1,000 years. 1,000 years of war with France. It was only after we came together in World War One and then subsequently in World War Two that we actually started seeing each other as comrades, and even that didn't last. I mean, don't forget, it was de Gaulle, the French wartime leader, who then became president, who blocked Britain's entry to the EEC, as it was back then, twice before we finally managed to join it in 1973. But yeah, the Brexit hangover does loom large in all this, and Macron's blistering assessment of Brexit was music to the ears of myself and anyone who fought against Brexit, or just fucking hate it with a vengeance. Populists sold you a response, which is through nationalist withdrawal. We were the budgetary, immigration, and growth problems. Were the budgetary, immigration, and growth problems solved by Brexit? No. In fact, all of those things were made worse. Starmer said that he agreed with Macron on substance, but he's clearly terrified of saying the B word out loud. But deal or no deal, Brexit remains the undead elephant in the room, hanging like the elephant of Damocles. Haunting every migration, trade, and defence conversation. And Macron also pushed this week for the recognition of Palestinian statehood, which is a diplomatic sticking point that Labour keep ducking, but they need to go for it. There are people in the Conservatives who would vote for it, and then the sort of these confidential conversations that are going on in the Labour Party at the moment and in the Tory Party, they both admit that Farage winning a general election is now a real possibility. And we can say, that Farage isn't very popular. It doesn't have to be. You only need 33% of the vote to win a stonking great majority in our system, because we've got a first past the post system. If Labour fails to do what it needs to do in the next few years, Farage gets in. That is it. We'll get a British Bolsonaro, Tunbridge Wells Trump. We'll have this braying, guffawing public school boy gobshite in charge of everything. A man who's a fucking narcissist, doesn't give a fuck about anyone but himself, but comes across as like one of the guys. He's one of the people, but he's not. He's always breathed the rarefied air of the upper classes. He went to a posh private school. He worked in the city of London. Became a professional politician, taking donations from all sorts, riding the EU gravy train while whinging about it constantly. Did he forego his EU pension as an MEP? No, he fucking didn't. He took every fucking penny he could get and never turned up to any of the fucking meetings. What, did he turn up to one meetings of the Fishery Commission when he was supposed to be representing our country? He was supposed to represent our country for fishing, which is really important apparently, and he never fucking turned up. Imagine a British fucking footy manager, right, the English footy manager, not turning up for a match. Only turning up for one match in 39. How would we feel about that? Hey? That's what he did. Fucking gobshite. And we need to scream it from the highest fucking hills. If, Macron defeated Le Pen in 2022, but Le Pen's party just won the most votes in the 2024 elections. I mean, they're still the third party, because the establishment parties will join forces to stand against them. But at the same time, even though Le Pen, I think she's going off to jail, isn't she, for being a corrupt little arsehole. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Populist politics works not because it solves problems, but because it promises to punish the right people. And this is mission critical for Starmer, that he has to fix the problems of Brexit without using the word Brexit. Isn't that mad? Isn't that like the maddest thing you could possibly fucking imagine? And why does he have to do this? And I know, Nick, I know it upsets you, and I know it upsets me, right? And I'm not being fucking la-di-da by saying that. I really mean it. It's like a source of eternal frustration. But there is over a third of the population of this country that absolutely 100% are balls deep into the idea of Brexit. Still, even now, they love Brexit more than they love their children. If they were given a choice between an apocalyptic future for their children to have to live in or rejoining the EU, they would choose the apocalyptic future every fucking time. So how do you win? How do you win against Farage and the populist? I don't know if this is the right way to do it. The way that Farage is being dealt with by Starmer and Labour Party, they've clearly gone, right, we need to undo the worst damages of Brexit without pissing off the people who voted for Brexit. I'd be tempted to go the other way. I'd be very tempted to just say, oh, fuck it. You know, let's just blame everything that is a problem on Brexit. Because Starmer's clean on this, you know. He didn't want Brexit in the first place. He didn't campaign for it. He actually stood on anti-Brexit platforms against the Tories' flagship policy, against Farage's wet dream of making us all poorer and himself richer. Because this is all about the enrichment of Nigel Farage. That is mostly what this is all about. I would hang Brexit around Farage's neck like a fucking concrete albatross. Is exactly what I would do. But there you go. £2. Alistair, £2. Graham, sing happy birthday to Diz. Okay, Alistair, I will. But can I say, I don't know if £2 is enough. Not for me, that's fine. You know, that's fine. You know, whatever. But for the people who are watching this, who are going to now have to listen to me singing just anything in general. So I'll sing happy birthday to Diz. Okay, here we go. You can go, if you want to mute the sound now, like I'm going to do a spoiler for just a few seconds and then come back. But happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Diz. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much, Diz, our champion moderator here in the chat. We love our mods. We also love our rockers in the chat as well. And we've got a few people who are mods and rockers in the chat. Am I right, One Angry Pagan? You know what I'm talking about? Yes! See what I did there? Anyway, happy birthday to Diz. All the best. All the very best. Sorry, never mind the metaphor. Go straight for the actual concrete albatross. Does Clacton have a pier? Oh, yes! Oh my God, that would be so awesome, wouldn't it? March Farage off Clacton Pier, if there is one. We'll build one, special. Clacton Jetty. March him off Clacton Jetty with a concrete albatross around his neck into the water. He ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. I love that. Just like Marilyn Monroe. That's what I was going for. Martin, thank you. Thank you. Very suave. Hip hip hooray. And our boomers, because we're never the right sort of boomers. Hang on. Anne. One sec. Where is it? There it is. Not all boomers. I made this specially for Anne. not all boomers. Just a lot of them. I maybe should get one that says not all Gen X. I may find that interesting. I think I mentioned it last week. They're talking about having to split Gen Z into two separate groups. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the reason being was COVID, because the ones who were old enough to be living on their own, it seemed like a different cohort than the people who ended up living with their parents for a year, not getting out and just being on, permanently online and getting all their information from the right-thing gobshites on the internet who are not fun. Clacton Pier burnt down. Oh, well, there you go, Diz. So, yeah, I just put a few boards out on the remains of what it was. I'm not going to lie, says Nick and Div. I look forward to Farage's obituary the most. Can't say I disagree. And those nappies would save him from drowning. Farage always says his Brexit would have worked, but as usual, he ducks the question about what his Brexit would look like. Says Captain Coconut. No one can see he has. No one can see he has no answers. Yeah, I know that no one will take him to task, and it's because he's part of the establishment. And unfortunately, the establishment run all the media, and all the media are all posh people who went to school together. And they're not gonna nail him. They're not gonna fucking nail him to the cross on a fucking TV show, are they? Or nail him to the wall, or nail him to something. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Not the same for me. I'm upset with the domestic side of how disabled people are being treated with dangerous politics and rhetoric. This includes from Farage. This is the worst part of him in my eyes. Yeah, he is horrifically ableist. You're absolutely right, mate. And thank you for the super chat. But yeah, it's just another reason to fucking hate Farage. He is absolutely toxic. He's the closest we got to Trump in the UK. He infects everything that he touches. He's got the reverse Midas touch. He turns everything he touches, anything he goes near, just turns to shit. And Brexit is his fault. If it wasn't for him, we would not have Brexited. And also, you know, the facilitation on the BBC of him appearing like 38 times on the BBC, while members of the actual fucking parliament in Europe from other parties, like I don't know, the Lib Dems, didn't get on once. Liz Allen, thank you very much for the $5 US dollarinos. Happy birthday today, and happy unbirthday the rest is. Gen X is split too. Zennials. Well, I'm a Zennial, aren't I? Because I'm on that cusp. But I behave more like a millennial than a Gen Xer, and my musical tastes are different, and just the way I live my life is very millennial. It's not very Gen X. I mean, you know, all these cohorts are just artificial fucking things made up by people to go, oh, you know, this is where people started acting a bit differently. They're just convenient ways of just grouping a group of people from, you know, every 15 years or however long a generation is. Is it 18 years generation? Grouping them together in a sort of, you know, a way that sort of makes sense. I'm an older Zennial, prefer it to X, lol, says Ami. Yeah, and I'm 1979. So, yeah, but like, I even my brother, who's only 2.5 years older than me, I feel like he's a different generation to me. I feel very much like he's a different generation to me. Farage is like a nasty head boy, awful really, says Leanne Scott. You are absolutely right. God, I've been blabbering on now for an hour and a half. I've not even finished my fucking piece. Hang on. Let's get the final thoughts, right? Starmer is saying, give me time, be patient. And he has got time at the moment. I think we'll get to a point where he starts panicking and running out of time. And as someone with ADHD, I completely get the whole thing of like, oh, we've got bags of time. And then we realize like 5 minutes before we go on air, like, oh shit, I've got shitloads to do before we can actually start the show. And then I'm 5 minutes late. The voters are saying, we've had a year and nothing's better. But if Labour had a better comms system, they could be putting out the fact that the NHS is demonstrably better now. The NHS is better. It is. Not for everybody. But for me and everyone that I know that's used the NHS this year, it's been better. Macron's case is talking about nuance and complexity and saying it's real, you know? Meanwhile, Farage is just giving these fucking shitty slogans like, you know, and his attitude is burn it all down, move fast and break things. You know, that Trump mentality. It takes years to put these organizations together. It takes years to put all these facilities and institutions in place. It only takes 5 minutes to burn it all down. And that's what Trump loves to do. It's what Farage loves to do. It's what the fucking idiot mob love to do. But the thing is, if Farage gets in as prime minister, our economy is going to fail even harder. And the man is a fucking fascist. He's a fucking fascist. He's a fucking Nazi. We need to call him out. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I can't keep up with the gens. I just say my age straight when I was born. Thank you very much, Ivan. And then Faulkner, many happy returns for the day to David Faulkner, from David Faulkner as well. It's my stepdaughter's birthday today as well, so we'll be wishing her a happy birthday after school. Vegan sausages falafel mustard and mint sauce actually works. Oh, do you know what I had yesterday? So I met up with a mate of mine in Newcastle, and we went to Granger Market, and they got these little food stores. I love stuff like this, little food stores, and they have one that's like Indian street food, and it's like vegan, vegetarian street food. And I had a bhaji wrap, and I've never had a bhaji wrap before. This is great. I mean, this is Western fucking fusion cooking, isn't it? But onion bhajis, yogurt, and some like crispy samosa coating, but I forgot what it's called, in there for some crunch. Give you some purchase in there. Oh, it was great. Really, really good. I forgot what it was called. It's the Indian takeaway place in the Indian street food place in Granger Market. Really, really recommend that. And Granger Market's great as well. There's a few little nice places in Newcastle, but I'm really just walking around trying to find somewhere I could just sit outside before I met up with my mate and have a coffee. And it'd be nice. That's all I wanted. I just wanted a bit of quietness. And the thing is this, right? I know that if I go into a pub and they have a beer garden, it's not a beer garden. It's a smoking garden. I can't go and have a beer and not end up with my clothes stinking as other people smoke. So it's not a beer garden. Call it what it is. Fucking toxic smoke garden. Toxic, belching, radioactive, carcinogenic, tobacco baron, billionaire fucking corporation that spends millions of pounds every year, billions possibly, of dollars every year getting kids in Indonesia and West Africa to start smoking so they can make money out the little fuckers. Yeah. Dirty bastard fucking tobacco companies. I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire, but there are some people on the left, might be some people watching this who think, I know, I'll give a donation. I'll give a donation to these tobacco companies, these cancer companies that spread cancer around the globe, that steal people's children, that steals people's parents at a young age as they die of cancer, or they have an asthma attack in a household where they've grown up and they can't get out. The parents smoke. Because they're addicted, because they put extra chemicals in these fucking things to make them extra addictive. Nice, thanks for that. And 500,000 children die of secondhand smoke around the world every year. You don't really hear much about that because, they're not from Britain. They're not white, most of them. But, give them some money. Give them money and then take something off them and roll it up and fucking burn it and inhale the toxic gas that comes out of it. Oh, yeah, gas, quick, boys. An ecstasy of fumbling. My God. I couldn't hate cigarettes more. I fucking hate them. I wish we lived in a world where Farage, Trump, and cigarettes didn't fucking exist. But we do. Unfortunately. Yeah, so I couldn't go into a beer garden. I just wanted to sit on the street where it's, but no, sit on the street. It's fucking noisy. There's cars going past, buses. You're literally sitting on the road outside the cafe, and there's cars like 1 meter away, 1 meter, rattling along at 30 miles an hour, 1 meter away from you. And you're like, well, this is relaxing, isn't it? Like a 1 ton bit of metal rattling along at 30 miles an hour while you're sitting there with a little table and a teacup to protect you. Yeah, I just want a nice space. Like, is that too much to ask? Clearly. My gen had the rave convoys and the smiley face on the Barney Rubble jeans, lol. Well, that's the thing. Like, I think Gen X was more ravers than we were. I think that the millennials were more into gigs and more into festivals than raves. The fact that the Hacienda closed down for the final time in August of 1997, a month before I went to university in Manchester. A month before I got there, it closed down. Ivan says, I've not had a cigarette for over 6 years, but I still crave it at times. Yeah, Ivan, it's because they put fucking chemicals in there to like make you dependent on it for life. It's so fucked up. Like, there's no other product that you can buy legally that kills you if you use it correctly, other than cigarettes. And I hate having to smell them. It just reminds me of my grandmother dying of lung cancer when I was like 8. Even when a smell transports you back to the past. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo, doodly, and you get that smell and you go, oh, that reminds me of primary school. Oh, that smell reminds me of when I used to go to Corwen in Wales. Oh, yeah, I remember that. You know, whatever, you know. Cigarette smells take me back to seeing me grandmother on a fucking deathbed. Thanks for that, smokers. Thanks for that little memory, that little fucking glob of toxic fucking smoke you're blowing in my way. There was a really interesting, I think it was the guy who does Veracim or whatever it's called, you know, the Veracim, is that what it's called on the internet, on YouTube, and he was trying to find the most radioactive place in the world, and he went to like Marie and Pierre Curie's old laboratory, which is still radioactive. He went to the place where they set off the nuclear bombs in, I don't know, the Pacific or America or something. And then he went to Chernobyl, and with the Geiger counter, and the place that was the most radioactive place that he could find was in a dead smoker's lungs. Just let that sit for a moment. More radioactive than Pripyat, the town near Chernobyl. Wowzers, Strousers. Anyway, Cameron called the anti-EU zealots. I think they should put like radioactive warnings on cigarette packets. It should have radiation warning, because people are terrified of radiation. Have a skull around the radiation, you know, the radiation symbol, but have a skull in the middle of it. Warning, radioactive. They should have that on sunbeds as well. Cameron called the anti-EU zealots swivel-eyed loons. Maybe Starmer should grow a pair, especially with hard Brexit damage outside the SM, now obvious to the growing majority. But is it obvious, Nick? I know we want it to be, but it's only like 56% of people who think that Brexit was a mistake. That's not enough. I mean, look at it this way. 48% of people voted against it. So in all that time, we haven't even got 10% more people on side to go, this is a terrible, terrible idea. In like 9 years. So yeah, I do think we should be pointing it out more. But whether we can get enough people on side to actually turn the tide, I don't know. I don't know. Nick equals Cameron scumbag. Yeah, sorry. Nick, not equals. Sorry. Just saying Nick. Cameron scumbag. Yeah, Cameron is. Yes, that sick green colour on the walls. Perod and black reminds me of purple toilet. Penno. Sorry, Penno. What the fuck is wrong with me now? I can't read these messages. Penno and black. I didn't realise what you were writing. I did that once. One of the roadies called Dave, because all roadies are called Dave, was setting up for a band, and he came over to me when I was working at the bar once, and he went, what have you got in the spirits? And I went over to the thing, and I went, I've got this, because he couldn't see, he didn't have his glasses on. And he went, what's that? And I went, it's Grand Mariner. And he went, it's Grand Marnier, you prick. I'll never forget that. And I went, oh yeah. Pair nod. I haven't had a regular sized marathon in years. Oh, sorry, Snickers. Marathon was a much better name. We only made green for the Second War, so that's ended. We had. People are so scared to confront Brexit reality. It broke up families. It did for me, and I lost my job. I cannot forgive those who do not regret their vote. Yeah, Nick, I'm in the same boat. It completely put my life on a completely different trajectory. Yeah. It ruined my career. Because I can't work in Europe anymore. Can't work in this country being a presenter because of the class system. Can't work over in Europe because I need a work permit now. Both of those things were caused by people going to private school and being twats. And lording it over me and everybody else with all their fucking money. Do we need a class war? Maybe. All the colours I went brown had patterns of patina. Sorry, of nicotine. Sorry, look, I'm gonna make my letters a bit bigger here because I'm having I'm in real trouble. I don't want to be looking at my screen and squinting, going, "Hey, what are you saying there?" But yeah, I've made it a bit bigger now, so maybe I can read things properly now. All the colours that went brown had a patina of nicotine. Yeah, it was horrible. Growing up, growing up, I mean, I'm probably fucked for life because I didn't just have to put up with everybody smoking. Like when I was in school, all my mates smoked. I was like the only one in the gang who didn't fucking smoke. I fucking hated it, and they would smoke around me. And I remember one time we were at the Far East restaurant in Liverpool, and one of my mates just lit up after I was still eating. I was still fucking eating, and he was sitting next to me. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I had a big go with him. I had a big row about it, but fucking hell, I was so fucking disrespectful. Yeah, they just don't think. They just didn't think at all that it might be unpleasant for somebody else to have to smell that fucking toxic shite. It's my right. It's my right. It's my right as an Englishman to fucking smoke. And I go around with a little spray of shit and like just do little spritz of shit. Here you go, mate. Make your clothes smell of shit. Off you pop. Why would you do that? It's my right. It's my right to make your clothes smell of shit. Little spritz of spray. A bit of sewage water. There you go. Put that in your clothes. What the fuck? Why'd you put that in your hair? Go on. In your hair. Nice smell of shit in your hair. Do you like that? It's my right as an Englishman. I have a right to smoke in this restaurant. I have a right to smoke in this bar. I have a right to smoke in the upstairs of this bus when literally everybody on the bus is a child. I have a right to smoke in my car with kids in the back. There you go. Have some toxic smoke. Fucking hate it. Do you know what the worst thing about it all is? It's just fucking disgusting. It's disgusting. One of the best lines that one of my friends ever said, well, a friend of a friend came around once and he had to go at one another mate for smoking. It was a non-smoker. And I just remember him just saying, he's like, oh, you got a problem with it because of your health? And he said, no, I'm not thinking about my health. I just hate it because it's fucking disgusting. I was just sitting there giggling away. Anyway, so yeah, I'll go head over to the papers for a moment. Christ, I've wibbled on a lot today about stuff that's got nothing to do with the main topic of today's show, the politics of patience and patinas and panic, which is what I mean. The main theme today was about how Starmer and Macron obviously gearing up for this new way of doing things about stopping the boats and a new way of thinking on that. Well, it's not new thinking because people have thought this for a while now, but new policies on that, which is a good first step. And like a lot of the stuff that they do, particularly Starmer does, it's a good first step. Like having meetings with the EU now every year to talk about trade and other stuff, it's fucking brilliant. Instead of every 5 years? Let's do it every year, because every time we have a meeting, they're going to need to have something to come out of the meeting, because otherwise, what's the point of having a meeting? And every time we can make it a little bit better. Okay, Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, mate. That's very kind of you. Since Labour have been in power, the NHS has improved for physical health conditions, but not for mental health conditions. Ivan, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Jesus, man, there is so much to do, isn't there, with mental health, with the NHS. All I can say is that I and Tan finally got our ADHD appointments after Labour got into power. And up to that point, we were waiting and waiting and waiting. So maybe in some respects, it's got a little tiny bit better. But you're right, there is a long way to go. There is a long way to go with mental health. Anne says, was someone parked where they shouldn't be in my town a couple of years ago? They opened the window and the reek of strong cannabis billowed out, back full of kids, some people. Yeah. That for me is just child cruelty. Do you know what I mean? It's just cruelty. It's just making your kids breathe toxic smoke, which kills 500,000 children around the world every year. Because they die of asthma. In a lot of countries, developing countries, they can't get hold of a Vitamin inhaler. They fucking just die. And the cigarette companies fucking love it. Go to Indonesia. There's loads of 8-year-olds smoking everywhere. It's fucking disturbing. It's really disturbing to see someone that young smoking, and they're absolutely addicted. Or you'll go to a village in Kenya or somewhere, and you'll be at the shop, and there's a guy will come along, an old guy, and he'll have like $1 or something, and that's got that's his food for the day or whatever, and he gets a Lucy. He gets a single cigarette out. Absolutely addicted. Something that kills you if you use it correctly. Anyway, do you know what doesn't kill you if you use it correctly? This channel. So thank you very much for everyone for sticking with us. I'm going to wrap up in 6 minutes' time. So if you want to get any super chats in, any more birthday requests, any requests to sing us another song or whatever, now's the time to do it, because I'm going to head over to the papers to quickly rip through the front pages. Let's do this. Let's do this shit. We've got the Financial Times here. Migrant deal. UK and France agree to swaps, which is good that there's been an agreement there. Moet Hennessy, sexual harassment. Moet. It's pronounced Moet, actually. There you go. There's a fact for you. Someone in the chat's now going, I've always called it Moet. It's Moet. Moet Hennessy sexual harassment case shines light on company's culture. Whistleblower seeks 1.3 million euros. Ex-staff say lawsuit reflects wider issues. Trade with Russia alleged. Well, would you expect people who run a luxury... You're the best. Would you expect people who create a luxury product to be gobshites? Come on. Luxury product for gobshites. Reeves puts cash ISA on reforms on hold amid backlash from building societies. This is another case of Labour sort of backtracking after going, hey, maybe we should do this thing. And then there's a big backlash and they go, okay, we won't do that. Seems to be a little bit of a theme going on with Labour at the moment, doesn't it? New migrant swap deal to start in weeks as Macron blames Brexit for small brokers crisis. He's not wrong. And then at the top here, the new generation of Oasis superfans, the 90s look more fun than now. The 90s look more fun than now. They were. In the 90s, I used to go and see a live gig once a week, sometimes more than once a week. And I'm not talking about a pub band playing, some Beatles covers. I'm talking about actual fucking bands. I've got tickets from going to see Weezer, Ash, The Long Pigs, Boo Radleys, Oasis, Supergrass, Weezer, Sleeper, Pulp, Blair, Radiohead for like £7.50. That's how much it was. £7.50. You get the bus into town for 20p. You could get drunk for a fiver. Taxis started at 70p, not £2.70. Right. I don't want to fall into the trap of toxic nostalgia. I don't want to fall into the trap of going, oh, it was great back in the day. Because it wasn't. There were a lot of things in the 90s that were wrong with the world. There were a lot of things that were wrong with the UK in the 90s. But fuck me. If you wanted to go out and have a nice time, you wanted to go to the cinema, it's £3.50 to go to the cinema. £3.50 to go to the fucking cinema. Now it's £18 if you go to a Odeon Lux. £18 to go and watch a fucking film. You kidding me? Am I going to get to meet the stars? But what happened? What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Rich, greedy fucks. Rich, greedy fucks took over Ticketmaster. Now it's 80 quid to go and see a gig, even if you're on the guest list. If you're on a guest list to see a band, you still have to fucking pay. Mind-blowing. And these horrible little ticket touts, Ticketmaster is a ticket tout organisation. They resell their own tickets for like 10 times the cover price. 10 times? 10 fucking times? And it's legal for them to do that for some fucking reason. A reason I just can't get my head around. Glastonbury was 8. My first Glastonbury ticket, I think, was 68 quid. First Glastonbury ticket, 68 quid. Fucking Proj. Fucking Radiohead. That famous Radiohead set, 1997. For which I have the set list. Oh yeah. I was always good at getting the set list at the end of gigs. I'm gutted I didn't get the Pulp set list. But I did get the Wolf Alice one, which is the main thing. Ivan, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. As a lot of people know here, I still have to go private and pay for my mental health treatment and care. I wish I could bill the Tories as it's all their fault. Yeah. I mean, Ivan, let's do it. Let's bill the fucking Tories. I think that's a great fucking line, that, actually. I'm going to write that down. Bill the Tories. Make them pay. Make them pay. Make them pay. And we'll have, rich people going, oh, with their champagne, their Moet champagne. The scrunched up inbred faces. And their webbed fucking fingers. And then, make them pay. I like that. I like that, mate. Bill the Tories. Make them pay. Put the taxes up on the rich. Paula, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. The trouble with mental health is that some of the older generation and not a few of the younger don't take it seriously. The older generation in particular. Not all boomers. And yeah, there are a lot of people who think, they don't have ADHD. It's just a made-up thing. It's just, no, my brain works differently. It's fine. It's okay. I can manage it. But I need a little bit of help. I need a little bit of understanding that, if I'm doing a maneuver in the car, you got to shut the fuck up. And I might not be polite about it because I'm freaking out. Because you're still talking to me and I'm trying to do a maneuver in the car. And yeah, I will turn the music off and I will tell everyone to shut up because I've got to do a maneuver. Done the maneuver, that's fine. Okay, right, back again. It's okay. I can start multitasking again now. But while maneuvering, everyone has to shut up. I think that's too much to ask, is it? They don't listen when you eventually get to see them. Paul Thomas, yeah. Looks like it's 28,800, so it's still doable. Couple of 36,000 euros plus visa costs for 5 years. Wonder what France's is. Well, I mean, one of the other things that I could do in the 90s is I could have an Australian girlfriend come and live with me here in the UK. And then I could marry her. Can't do that now. God, I don't earn £28,000 a year. I'm not allowed to be with someone from another country. That's not for me. It's only for the rich. That's only for the elites. It's only for the Nigel Farages who got with someone from Germany. That's why his children have European passports. I can't do that. I used to be able to get with someone from Germany. They could live here with me indefinitely. But then we left the EU because Farage wanted us to leave the EU. Really grim. Really fucking grim. Steve, in the 70s, I could see bands like Led Zepp, The Who, Black Sabbath, or David Bowie for around £1. Beer was 20p a pint, and I was young and virile. Then were the days. Yeah. Somebody call. Not all boomers, says Anne. Knob. Not all boomers. Wouldn't it be nab? Wouldn't it be nab, not knob? Accurate Dave said, it's saying mental health issues don't exist, but when you go for them with an axe, they complain. Oh, that is good. That is very good, Acro Dave. Oh my God. If I was doing stand-up, I would so steal that joke and just add it to the fucking repertoire. That's a good joke. I'll have it. They moan about the say mental health doesn't exist. Then you come at them with an axe. Anyway, were things better in the 90s? Some things were better in the 90s. Some things, my friends. Some things. Bands actually got paid. I love dogs, but there's no place for them in restaurants, says Simon Kellner. I mean, in cafes, fine. But in a restaurant, yeah, I unless they were seeing eye dog, I think I would have a problem with the dog in a restaurant or a hearing dog. Society, there's a story here from Kate Lister. I have a tattoo and quit my job at 43. Is this a midlife crisis? Yes, it is, Kate. Welcome. Wish I could have a midlife crisis. We just stumbled from crisis to crisis since the age of 21, but you know. New migrant swap deal to start in weeks as Macron blames Brexit for small boat crisis. That's the front cover of the Eye, which I've already read, so we'll go back. We've got the Times here. Crackdown to... Can I do that even better? Crackdown! It's a great word, that. I love crackdown. Crackdown! To cure UK of sick note epidemic. GPs told to prescribe job coaches and the gym. No, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with GPs prescribing people to go to the gym. So it's free to go to the gym. And yeah, I'm up for that. And that's a good idea. But the sick note epidemic is very belittling and ableist because there's a lot of people who are off work for legitimate reasons. A lot of people are off because of their mental health, and that isn't really being cured by going to the gym necessarily. So, this will help some people, but others it won't. Meta poaches AI engineer from rival with £2 million pay offer. Meta has poached a former Apple engineer to join its super intelligence team, offering him $200 million pay package. Wow, pay package. That'll be a year? Fuck me. That's a lot of money. The Times out Salt Path and the publishing crisis. This is the problem. Look, can I just talk about my problem with the Salt Path? Like, I didn't know anything about it, not read the book, not seen the film. Right? Hadn't heard of it until last week, right? I don't have a problem with them lying a little bit on how they got the money, right? Or didn't, or how they lost their money, whatever. I don't care, right? My big issue with the Salt Path is that apparently it tells the story of this guy who has this disease that you don't get better from. And he went for a walk and then he got better. And they tell you it's the true story. And this is incredibly damaging for people who actually have this ailment or know someone who have it. Because they'll say, oh, do you know what you want to do? You want to just go for a nice walk. That'll get rid of it. Which is the worst thing that you can say to someone who has a chronic illness, who has a terminal illness, who has something big, right? The last thing you want to say to someone with cancer is, have you thought about having a nice walk? Have you thought about having some juice? Have you thought about having a coffee enema? Fuck off. Stop it. Don't do it. Do not do it, okay? Let the person who has the issue, or whatever it is, right, let them, do their own thing with it. Let them do what they think is right for them. When you start telling people, like, don't, get rid of conventional medicine. Conventional medicine doesn't work. What you need is a nice walk. And we hear this all the time about mental health, and it pisses me off. No, we need perhaps cognitive behavioral therapy. Perhaps we need a therapist. Perhaps we need a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Perhaps we need that support in place. Perhaps we need reasonable adjustments made in our workplace or in our homes. To have someone who doesn't know you, doesn't know the condition, knows nothing about medicine, knows nothing about mental health, to go, what you need is a nice walk in the woods. That'll get you better. So let me get this straight, right? If I'm feeling a bit down, I'll go for a nice walk in the woods. Why don't I go for that walk in the woods in Japan? You know that one where people hang themselves? You know that the woods of death in Japan? Yeah, I'll go for a walk in there. That'll cheer me up. That'll cheer me right up. As it obviously cheered all the other people up who'd fucking died in that particular forest. Yeah, it might work for some. And it might work as a complementary treatment to what you're getting. But what I think the Salt Path did that I think is unforgivable is said that it was a true story about a guy who had an incurable disease that was cured by having a fucking nice walk. I'm not having that. Like, imagine if I had said, oh, I had cancer, and then I went around the world to every country, and then I came back and my cancer had gone. Fuck off. I would have sold a lot of books. Oh my God, I would have sold so many books. But it would have been a lie. And if people sued me for telling that fucking lie, I think that'd be fair enough. I don't think I'd have as many people watching these shows in the morning because people wouldn't trust me. Well, I would hope people wouldn't trust me. People forgive people of all kinds of crazy shit these days. Europe could block deal on boat migrants here. Keir Starmer and President Macron have announced a groundbreaking returns agreement to deter migrants from crossing the English Channel in small boats, but officials warn there's likely to be significant legal challenges. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Daily Express here. More free family passes for the National Trust, worth up to 50 quid. Jesus, they're really hammering these free family passes for the National Trust, aren't they? And we also get a free bet. So you can either do something wholesome with your life and go and learn about the history of our country and go to a nice stately home and have a picnic in the grounds, or you can spend money on gambling, which I don't think should be allowed to be advertised. Just saying. PM's one in, one out channel migrant deal is ridiculed as 600 more arrive. Haha, cave-in will fail to stop boats. Keir Starmer has been accused of caving into France. How is this caving into France? We've asked them for a favour. And Kate Moss there, having fun in the sun. I really don't know why that's on the front cover. See page 3. The Daily Express has done a thing. Supermodel wears bikini. Supermodel goes on holiday. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. It's got nothing to do with anything. Jesus Christ. I read a really interesting piece once, and it really stayed with me. And it was about, like, at the time, it was when Amy Winehouse was alive. And it was just asking the question, why do I know the name of Amy Winehouse's husband? Why do I know the name of Amy Winehouse's husband? It's just fucking weird. Why, when I pick up a newspaper, does it tell me the lives and celebrity gossip of what's going on? Like, why? I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I don't know these people. It's not something that I find interesting. If I want a gossip magazine, I'll pick up a fucking gossip magazine. And if I buy Take a Break or fucking Hello or whatever, and I'm looking up all this stuff about who's marrying who and who's porking who and who's left who and who's getting divorced and who's doing this and who's doing that, right? I'm not expecting to find a hard-hitting piece about, I don't know, orphanages in Gaza. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's this doing here? Why have I got this real news in this puff piece about some celebrity getting married? Anyone? Why would that news be? It's not. That news is not in there because that's a celebrity gossip magazine, and real news has no place in there. Real, actual, world-changing geopolitical events have no place in there. So why do we hear about celebrities all the fucking time in newspapers? Like, I don't give a fuck. I couldn't give a toss. Have a showbiz section on a separate magazine or something. Like, don't put it on the front cover. So some woman who was famous in the 90s went on holiday. That is not front page news. Why have they got that on the front page? Pisses me off. I mean, it's a relief to not see the fucking family again. I'm sure they'll be on one, cover of one newspaper at least. But seriously, it's a weird. If we had to explain it to aliens, I think they'll be really confused. The joys of 80s Europop there. Fair enough, yes. And then we've got Eric Idle on Trump, Brexit, Python, and a life in comedy. Eric Idle being very anti-Trump and very anti-Brexit. UK and Farage, one in, one out to deal. UK and Farage. Did I just say Farage? Oh, for fuck's sake. He's living rent-free in my fucking brain, the rich twat. UK and France in, one out deal to cut illegal migrants crossings. And then we've got Sablanenka's hopes melt. Arnia, is it? Aranya? Sabalenka feels the heat on a blazingly hot day in Wimbledon. The number one seed lost 3 sets in her semi-final to Amanda Anisimova, who will play Iga. Oh, fuck, this is fucking me. Swiatek in the final tomorrow. I need to learn those names, don't I? And so they roll off the tongue like Martina Navratilova, who used to be a queer icon, and now she's a TERF. Fuck! Doctors leader, 29% claim is non-negotiable. Resident doctors, 29% play claim is non-negotiable, reasonable, and easily affordable for the NHS. The new leader of the medical profession has said they're not going to get 29%. Strike kills 15 waiting outside a Gaza clinic. Fucking hell. Including 10 children. 10 children killed, queuing up for a fucking clinic. Fuck off, Israel. Jesus Christ. Here we got the Daily Star here. Trump does thumbs up. Your English is good. What's your first language? Donald, this is him. Saying to the president of Liberia that the president of Liberia's English is good. He knows nothing about anything, Donald Trump. He knows nothing about the history of America, never mind the history of Liberia or West Africa, or why Liberia was set up as a place next door to Sierra Leone to take people who liberated slaves to go back to West Africa, somewhere they would be safe. It was. I think it was set up with the best of worst intentions by the Americans, the only American colony in Africa, in fact, and still has some little ties with America. You have a look at the flag of Liberia; it's essentially the US flag with 1 star in the corner rather than 50. It's that's the history of it. It speaks English. English is its official language, as it is the official language of Sierra Leone next door, which was set up by William Wilberforce and friends to take recaptured slaves and to put them in Africa. Also, slaves that had fled America for Canada and ended up in Nova Scotia. After the War of 1812, we were told not just the War of 1812, actually the American Revolutionary War, the War of Independence. We had told any slaves that were fighting for the British that we would give them freedom if they fought on our behalf. Some did, and then at the end of the war, George Washington was very adamant that these slaves be returned to the United States to become to be slaves again, because the man was a massive slave, the lover of the slave industry. And we said no. We shipped them all off to Halifax, Nova Scotia. Some of them went to London. And then eventually William Wilberforce and friends bought this tract of land around the Providence of Freedom, which is now Freetown, in what's now Sierra Leone, and said we're going to set up a new settlement there so people could go back to West Africa and somewhere they'll be safe, because if they went back to their original tribes or the original places, things might have shifted, things might have moved, and they might be killed. That was set up as a kind of like, sorry about the whole slavery thing. You can go back now to West Africa, not your actual place where you live. So it's essentially stealing people from Britain and then dumping them in Latvia or something and going, well, you can live here. And they're like, okay, cool, we'll live here then. But also recaptured slaves once Britain decided that it was more monetarily advantageous to not have slavery and to actually capture any slaves that are being taken over by the Portuguese or the French or Spanish or anyone else over to the New World. We'll capture those ships and we'll send the ships back to Africa under escort and drop them off at the Providence of Freedom or Province of Freedom or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the history of the place. That's why Sierra Leone and it was an old British colony, effectively for Black Africans, and Liberia was an old American colony for Black Africans for after emancipation, after slavery was ended. Actually, the whole idea for it came about before then, but it was an idea if you wanted to go back to Africa, you can go here. But did we build up these places? Did we make them really wealthy? And did we really help them out? No, we didn't. We just sort of set them up and then left them to rot. Anyway, Paula, thank you very much for possibly the last super chat of the morning. One of Martina Navratilova's coaches was trans woman. Yeah, I heard about that, which is crazy. I mean, like, Europop, Sabrina, boys. You live long enough. Most people disappoint eventually, says Leanne Scott. Yeah. I had a boss who kept saying that sex sells. It didn't work for older men who were looking for a replacement crankshaft. If anything, it put them off. Directors know absolutely nothing. I have two African friends and two African pen pals. We tried to take over Africa, but it spit us out. That's from Full More Music. Well, Africa's a very big place, my friend. Black Box, Right on Time, European rip-off of an old Etta James song with an underwear model miming over it. Right on time, right on time. Okay, I won't sing anymore. But, fun Euro fizz, Euro pop. Right, we're going to move on now. What a joke. I put my 11-year-old daughter on weight loss jabs. All right, she looks happy about it. Smashing the gangs latest, having scrap Rwanda. Starmer launched his own deterrence yesterday. Half-baked, one in, one out. Half-baked. Yeah, sorry, and Rwanda wasn't half-baked? Yet it won't stop the boats, as was unveiled. Hundreds more migrants landed here. They are fucking obsessed. They are absolutely obsessed with the relatively small number of people coming into the country on boats. And it's something that we could do something about very quickly. Very, very quickly. What does Jerry really want now? This is Jerry Halliwell from the Spice Girls. Eccleston on Horner and his problem. He acts like he's still 20. Okay. I don't know quite what they're talking about there, but whatever. Macron is to blame. Is that Eccleston, like Bernie Eccleston, the little poison dwarf guy? And his Horner, George Halliwell's husband, has been kicked out. Was that him? He still acts like he's 20. Okay. But this is Bernie Eccleston. I thought he was dead. Is he still around? Is he still knocking around? We need to do a dead or alive skit, don't we? Where we suss out which celebrities and gobshites are dead or alive. Macron, Brexit lies to blame for chaos. Inflammatory end to summit as hundreds of migrants arrive on day. Starmer seals one in, one out deal. Yeah, it's not in place yet. Streeting clears way to doctors topping up pay with pensions. West Streeting has opened the door to cutting junior doctors' pension pots in order to raise their pay. Okay. Wallace banned by BBC after being ruled unfit for the workplace. Complete gobshite, this Wallace creep. He's blamed his autism. He said, "Oh no, I've been diagnosed with autism, and that's why I'm a twat." No, I've got lots of friends who are autistic, and they're not twats. And they certainly don't treat women the way you did, mate. Here's Johnny. Puff piece possibly about Johnny Depp, who's a fucking scumbag. And then we've got Starmer and Macron reveal migrant deal one in, It's one in, one doubt. See what they've done there. Okay, that's a roundup of the papers. Better go now because I've gone way over time. Been rabbiting on for 2 hours and 14 minutes. Woof! Where does the time go? Where does the time go? I could have travelled all the way from London to Liverpool on the train in that time. Would have cost me a lot of money, but I could have done it. My gorgeous partner got me a pastry cinnamon roll, a cinnamon roll from Aldi this morning when she went shopping. So this is my breakfast. Look at that cinnamon fucking roll. Fucking lovely that. I'm gonna eat that now. I'm not gonna eat it in front of you because you don't want to watch people eat. But I'll be back at 1 o'clock. So hopefully it won't take me an hour and a half to eat the fucking thing. But I'll be back at 1 o'clock with Phil Morehouse, and we'll be discussing all the shit that is fit to be discussed about what's been going on this week in UK politics. So please join us for the agenda at 1 o'clock. And if you're not about at 1 o'clock, if you've got better things to do, which you might do. I mean, it's a beautiful sunny day out there. It's a beautiful sunny day. That's all I'm saying. Put the sun cream on, wear a hat, wear a collar, pop the collar. I know you look like a twat with a pop collar, but don't get the back of your neck burnt, all right? Just like that. Walk around like that. If you're not around this afternoon, I'll be back at 9:30 as well with the Friday night social here on Politics Social. So please join us for that. We'll be kicking back, having a couple of beers and an informal discussion about life, the universe, and everything. So in the meantime, I'll just say thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I'll say thank you for the super chats. Thanks for the chats. Hello. Good evening. Oh, 1 second. Give us a like. Give us a like on the way out. Thank you. Like. We always like a like. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.